Hello, everybody. So, this is a format of video I've seen a few times on Loudwire and a couple other sites of famous artists playing their favorite riffs of all time, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of do the same because I've done a few, guitar related videos on my channel, a lot of cover songs, a lot of other content, and you know what? I thought maybe this would be a fun little video idea to try. So, first off, what made me want to play music in the first place? Well, I grew up listening to a lot of bands like Styx, Boston, Journey, uh, heavy metal stuff like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Metallica. This was stuff that was all in my dad's tape collection growing up, and of course, I've always had a sort of kinship for that kind of music. And Boston was probably my first band that really spoke to, the deep musical part of me that wanted to become an artist. So, one of my favorite examples of a piece of music by Boston that really drew me in as a young person and really made me want to learn to pick up an instrument was the track Foreplay and Long Time from their debut album. And I like that track more for its keyboard playing than the guitar work, especially in the foreplay section. But it's hard to deny that that opening riff on the guitar is really cool. And the guitar solo in the opening is just one of those really cool moments too, and it's one of the few guitar solos that I kind of really like bothered to learn uh, straight through. So, what was the very first riff that I ever learned to play on guitar? Well, my dad had this old sort of Japanese hollow body uh, called a Camaro, and I guess it was like sort of one of those cheap catalog guitars. He had that laying around for a long time, and he'd always play, the two or three riffs that he knew, and one of them was the opening track from Pink Floyd's The Wall in the Flesh. Now, uh, I learned it without the techniques that make that particular riff so cool now, and I'm gonna play it the way I currently play it, the way it's supposed to be played, but I learned it just like the notes, like just. That would have been the way my dad would have taught it to me. So while I was a beginner on the guitar, one of the bands that really helped me sort of develop as a player was Metallica. There was a period of my early teenage years, like from age 13 to 16, where I thought Kirk Hammett was probably the greatest guitar player ever. And one of my favorite riffs came from the track One. and uh, I really liked both the clean intro. But I also really thought that that outro section with the chugging riff was just straight up the heaviest thing I'd ever heard in my life. As a beginner, one of the techniques that I really like to lean on, but also kind of struggled with a little, was tapping. And my first exposure to that technique also came from the song One by Metallica. And I learned it through one of Kirk Hammett's Guitar World columns that he was running at the time in the magazine. And he, explained the technique in such a way that I was able to understand it. And now I can sort of play it pretty decently. Time to do a guitar changeover, yeah. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Growing up listening to, my dad's tape collection got me into a lot of heavier music, and one of the things that happened a lot during the time that I was growing up was the advent of bands like Korn and Limp Bizkit and Stained on terrestrial broadcast radio, and Much Music, which is Canada's equivalent to MTV, back when we all used to play music videos all day. And Korn played 7-string guitars, and as a beginner on the guitar, and I loved the band Korn, and when I found out that they played guitars that had 7 strings, I knew even as a beginner that I wanted in on that. And I started learning all these old Korn songs on a 6-string guitar tuned way down, and everything was just so floppy. So it wasn't until just after I got out of high school that I bought my first 7-string, and by that point I was already getting into bands like Dream Theater. Rush were huge in my world at that point, but Dream Theater were even bigger, and they, of course, had John Petrucci on guitar, who occasionally likes to play 7-string guitar. And one of the first pieces that really spoke to me on the 7-string guitar was A Change of Seasons. And, it has that clean intro. But it also had this really kick-ass riff that came in afterwards that is just such a powerful moment. And it breaks that clean section's ambiance, and just, it's such a heavy riff. Now, of course, while learning guitar, I was also very interested in bands like Rush, and the track 2112 was another really sort of important one to develop my skills as both a rhythm and lead player. But 2112 was also a song that I used with the drummer of my band at the time as sort of a test of our ability to play as a band, but play these really complex, intricate sections. And, it was more about learning to play as a band member than just as a guitar player sitting in my bedroom. What was the first riff I ever wrote for a band? Well, there is one that's in drop D tuning that I wrote called "The Sky's the Limit," and it was kind of a funny thing about how we wrote that track. It was just a very simple drop D riff, and we had a rhythm for it, and when we were trying to come up with the lyrics for it, we didn't really have any ideas. So our singer Shane just kind of picked up a grocery list that was sitting on our drummer's kitchen table and just started singing it. And the only line I remember from that particular section was something about how vanilla doesn't go with rice. But obviously, that did not make the cut for the lyrics, but the riff was pretty chunky. As for my favorite riffs that I've ever written, well, I can think of a couple. One of them is a very soft riff that I used with a song called Eye of the Universe that I wrote with my drummer Tim and our keyboard player at the time, Ray, way back in the day, and it uses a delay pedal, which was really kind of cool and groundbreaking for me. I just got a delay pedal and I wanted to use it, so here we go. One moment, guys. This video's gonna get kind of long, but... Okay, so the only reason that I have to bust out the 8-string for this riff is that all of my 7 strings have Floyd Roses, and they're all set up in standard, but one of my other favorite riffs that I've written is for a song called Blue Vendetta, and it was one of the first riffs that I wrote using my 7-string, and it's in drop A tuning, and it's a little heavy. Half this video is just gonna be my fat ass getting in and out of a chair. Anyway, those are all of my favorite riffs that I've played, learned to play, and have written over the years. Some pretty cool examples shown in this, and if any of these inspired you, that would be great. I love hearing about how music inspires people to, pursue their passions, and I don't know, I thought this was just a really fun thing. I loved watching, all the more famous artists doing their thing with this kind of format of video. And I thought it would be fun to kind of give it a shot on my own, let some of my friends and watchers in on the secrets of my musicianship and where I get my musical rocks off. So anyway, thank you for watching. Lauscho out.